What the crap's going on, YouTube? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Rome 2, where we're going to do another online battle. This one is going to be HeirofCarthage versus Soul Invictus. And I forgot to say this in my last time I recorded, but if you all are enjoying these battles, please feel free to subscribe if you would like to. I'll keep bringing more, and that'll help keep you in touch. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, and again, I'm not just doing this to like whore out stuff, it's just this helps me communicate to you when I got new videos coming out. Twitter's a great place for me to poll you, interact with you, and get feedback on videos. I understand not everybody can go there, but again, it's a great way to stay in touch if you're looking to. And then appreciate MSI for having sponsored the build that I'm recording this on, so I'll get all that out of the way up front. So this is going to be a one-on-one battle between Soul Invictus and HeirofCarthage. So HeirofCarthage is playing as Pontus, and Soul Invictus is playing as Lusitani. Now these are both great players. Should be an interesting match. The Lusitani are weak to missiles. Pontus can field plenty of missiles. But Lusitani is going to have far superior infantry, far superior cavalry for Pontus. So Pontus has the missiles and the mobility. Lusitani is going to have the infantry killing power. So it's an interesting, somewhat asymmetric matchup between these two. But don't underestimate Lusitani. They have certain skills that can be pretty useful. Like these Scutari spearmen have cavalry counter tactics. And if we see enough of them here, Lusitani spears are cheap and they're decent defense. So we're going to see probably more Lusitani spears because the Scutari spears are so expensive. But yeah, plenty of spears up front. Iberian slingers rather than Balearics. Now that's interesting. Probably just to save money. 2 Scutari cav just to have a little bit of mobility. Lusitani guerrillas back here. These guys can vanguard deploy. So yeah, you have 2 cavalry counter tactics unit, veteran shield warriors. Lusitani noble is your only option for a general. So pretty decent defenses here for the Lusitani if they can keep the Pontic cavalry from going too ham on them. Got a Pontic Royal Cav general. You're gonna have a Pontic Royal Cavalry over here. Noble blood. Oh wow, 3 Pontic Royal Cav, 2 Noble Bloods, and a Scythe Chariot. So the Pontus, just assuming that the infantry fight's not going to go their way, just brings a few mercenary Celtic warriors, some naked swords, and then some Eastern slingers, and a few horse archers out here. The horse archers will be annoying, and Lusitani guerrillas do not have the best block chance, but they are a better way to absorb missiles than other options. Scutari cav are kind of feinting a charge here, drawing a response from the Noble Blood cavalry. Looks like the Lusitani are wanting to get into skirmish range. I can't say I blame them. Pretty squishy targets up here from Pontus if they can get a hold of them. And then they just need to keep the horse archers away from their general. If they can do that, they should be good. And then, of course, Pontus is not going to want a head-on engagement until they feel like they're in the right spot to overrun the Lusitani. Javelins are going to be the key for the Lusitani here. They're going to have to put a lot of javelins out all over the Pontic cavalry and the Scythe chariots especially. So, and they don't have a whole lot of mobility. If they allow the Pontic skirmishers to survive to late game, it could be ugly. Let's see what happens. Not a particularly long battle if I'm looking at the timer, so we're about to get into some action here pretty quick. Let's just kind of see how this goes. Flat map, so not a real way to jockey for a whole lot of position. I mean, the red line's over here, but I doubt these guys are going to be red line camping. Here comes the Iberian slingers. They're going to open fire. Noble Blood cavalry could try and charge through the lines. They're going to take a lot of damage doing it. It's a matter of whether they would think that's worth it. Iberian slingers are starting to get a little bit of hits done. The naked swords would be very vulnerable. And here comes a Scutari cavalry, but it's going to be countercharged by Noble Blood, so it's going to want to get out of there very quickly, and it is. Here comes the spearmen ready to support. Nice play by Soul Invictus, pushing the cavalry back, keeping his Scutari cavalry alive and somewhat unharmed. Actually, pretty well unharmed. That was pretty nice. Here comes the veteran shield warriors. So that's going to first force the mercenary Celtic warriors back. Now, shock cavalry inbound right now. This is a little bit more worrisome, but they're going to feint away as well. Draw a little bit of a javelin volley. The spearmen really don't want to engage these Celtic warriors. This is unfortunate, especially because the Scutari spearmen are the ones with the the cavalry counter tactics. Scutari cavalry here trying to keep the horse archers at bay. Nice engagement over here for the Lusitani, overrunning a naked sword. Here comes the Celtic warriors, though. A Scutari cavalry caught in combat is going to get absolutely wrecked. A Scutari spearman over here, though, with cavalry counter tactics, is going to be putting some significant damage down on the Pontic Royal Cavalry. The question is how much can it do and how fast can it do it? I would hope to see that dropping faster if I were the Lusitani player, but I mean, it did do some damage. drop those guys about 20 units. It's going to want to get away from these swordsmen as well and stay alive. The main line engagement easily favoring the Lusitani, as expected. Celtic warriors and naked warriors getting wrecked. But here comes some more Celtic warriors. This cavalry is going to be a danger. There's not a ton of spears left in the back line. The noble general just being kept safe at the moment. And let's see the target. The slingers don't appear to have a target at the moment. This veteran shield warrior gets carried away, and it is going to get absolutely swatted by a Pontic Royal Cavalry. Spearmen here just keeping the horse archers at bay because they are firing into this fight. Definitely a good idea. Need to keep those guys out of range. There's shot cavalry and heavy cavalry making its way to the flank. The Lusitani are wrapping up the mainline fight. Kind of almost expecting to see them pull back to a defensive position to let their slingers do the work here. Scythe chariots being kept at reserve for now. That could be a dangerous late game unit, but if the Lusitani are able to keep killing Pontus, then the power bar could help them win the battle. The shield warriors are doing very well here, like I said, as expected. Spears being pulled free from this fight. This is good. So you got Lusitani spears, Scutari spears. You got quite a few spears left. And enough skirmishers to hurt the eastern slingers. This is important. Veteran shield warriors are going to be pretty vulnerable to missiles as well. Scutari cavalry still alive here, though, that can threaten these slingers. They're not going to get to them because of the Pontic Royal Cav, but they can at least be used to feint here. All this cavalry being kept at bay. I'd kind of almost like to see the cavalry. I mean, you got some nice ladder stacked spear units here, though, and this is a good formation. And the reason is if the Pontic cavalry comes at the first unit, javelins can counter from the second unit, because obviously in Rome 2, cavalry can flatten infantry pretty fast, like you just saw it do here. This Pontic Royal Cavalry actually had a pretty decent line to these Iberian slingers, but they wanted to stay alive. And when they retreat, though, they're going to take a ton of damage here from all the infantry units and javelins. Here comes another Royal Cavalry charge. They had a different... No, they were targeting that spear unit, and they are going to flatline it. So, going to get some pretty decent damage there, though pulling out immediately because there's Scutari spearmen supporting. 105 kills on the Pontic Royal Cav. Chariots out and about. There is a Scutari Cav left. That's going to be important. Out here, a spear unit managed to chase down a Noble Blood Cavalry. How lucky is that? It's not going to win that fight, but it can at least do some damage out there. Scutari spearmen out here getting mopped up by horse archers and Noble Blood Cav, so Scutari spear is a big loss. Scutari Cavalry doubling back around to try and pin down the Pontic Royal Cavalry while there's a spearman nearby, and as it flees, the Pontic Royal Cavalry is going to get shredded. So a nice move there, but these chariots, though, if they could get moving on through this, so basically if you could get a heavy cavalry in here to pin down some of these guys like that, the chariots could just come wiping through and destroy all these Lusitani units. It's just a matter of keeping the javelins out of the chariots, which right now the chariots are not off to a good start. The Scutari cavalry is helping to pin them, and the javelins are inbound. A chariot already drops. Yeah, there's nothing here to protect the chariots from the javelins, and so they're going to get absolutely destroyed. They're completely gone. Just this one unit left. So yeah, Pontus, all they needed to do was throw in a couple of units to pin down this blob where they can't throw their javelins, and then the chariots could have come through and wiped it all out. So that was very, very well done by Sol Invictus there, to get rid of those chariots as quickly as he did. A little bit too late. Here comes the Pontic Royal Cavalry. Not that I would have a good chance of defeating Sol Invictus, of course, so if Hamilcar is watching this, don't worry, bro. He would have beaten me a long time ago. So here we go. Yeah, and I want to say I've played against Hamilcar before, and if I remember right, he gave me a pretty good beating. Both of these players are generally going to play at a higher skill level than I will. My biggest problem in Total War games, I just don't spend enough time. It's kind of like Halo. You have to spend the time, you have to put in the practice if you want to be successful, and I just don't have the time to do that because I'm recording content, I'm recording single player, I'm trying to cover new DLCs and other stuff like that when it comes out. So I don't really feel like being a solely dedicated multiplayer player, and also it kind of gives me an opportunity to show off some of the gameplay for these people who submit it, and they are really the great players within the Total War community, and so it's kind of fun to be able to show off some of their content rather than just focusing on myself, obviously, which would probably get pretty boring seeing me play the same way over and over again. So I like being able to throw gameplay in here from other people. Nice play by Sol Invictus there. It's not always an easy win over Pontus with Lusitani, though again, the number of javelins that can be fielded by the Lusitani can make them dangerous. Their infantry was able to get their work done. Never expected to see the Pontic infantry. This was the wild card here. It was not able to do what it needed to do, and so in that case, that's what helped swing the victory in favor of the Lusitani. Appreciate both players. Enjoyed this battle. Appreciate Soul Invictus sending it in. Hope you all enjoyed it, and HeirofCarthage signing out.